Video 100! We did it! Honestly, guys, I cannot thank you enough. This would not be possible without any of you, and I really mean that. But anyway, let's do a personal one today, yeah? One for me, maybe? Just for right now. Let's do one for me today. Now, if you know me or are vigilant on the channel, you will know that my favorite character among all the continuities is the Autobot detective Nightbeat. I first got acquainted with him through the Fun Pub comic, which prompted me to want to get the Revenge of the Fallen Scout. Later on, I would read some of his UK comic appearances from Marvel, and I thought, damn, this guy is cool. Then finally would come his scattered appearances in IDW, which were great, but also contributed to my worst problem with the character. Don't worry, we will get to that later. And he's had a few figures, some good, some official, and some third party. So in honor of my 100th video, we're going to talk about all the Nightbeats that I happen to own as a tribute to my favorite character. Well, here's as good of a place to start today. G1 Nightbeat. And weirdly, this is probably as good as we're going to get. And considering the era of Transformers we're in, that's ironic as hell. In car mode, he's a Porsche 959, which, in my opinion, looks cooler than the 911. Yeah, I said it. In toy form, he's a bit more squat in comparison to the real car, but you can still definitely tell what's going on here. He's a very nice shade of blue, almost on the green side, so aqua blue? On top of that, he has flame decals and headlights in this mode. Cool. But weirdly enough, his wheels are blacked out, and there's a lot of unpainted details on this thing. Keep in mind that at the time, G1 Power Master Prime, the reissue of Devastator in Europe, and Sidewalk Vinaigrette here were all coming out. So it was definitely a low point in terms of budget. But all the same, I think he still looks pretty cool. Also, it's funny, he's technically considered one of the 3 Headmaster Juniors, but instead of making them trans-tectors, which makes way more sense, us stupid Americans were just like, here's a detective, a Canadian fire truck, and Bobcat Goldthwait.
Thank you very much! Thank you very much! It feels... Thank you...
As for features, he rolls pretty good, and he's got an attack mode. Oh, wait a minute. My regularly scheduled reaction to attack modes isn't here yet. Okay, now it is. The transformation is about as simple as G1 figures tend to be, but there's something that's a little different here. See, normal Headmasters would do the whole knee dislocation thing to transform, but this guy in the Juniors do an extremely painful sit-up. Then they cram themselves into this chair upside down. You know how hard that would be to pull off with a real person? And now, a Headmaster stock footage dramatization. Head on, bitches. So, welcome to Robot Mode. And yeah, as simple as this guy is, I love this design. It reminds me a lot of movie Jazz with how the headlights and fenders become the forearms. You might also be familiar with Nightbeat having a visor. His first toy did not. He had the normal eyes, and honestly, as blank as his expression is, it ain't too bad of a head sculpt. Detailing wise, it's all different with these vents and chest pieces, but also you have a lot of stickers, which are... So yeah, all these decals here are from Toy Hacks because there was not a single one that lasted those 30-something odd years. But anyway, feature-wise, we can strap him up like he's getting ready to fight Squeeze Play. Can you believe they called him freaking Cancer in Japan? And of course, you got the ever so iconic tech spec readout with the Spud strint. And it's just so satisfying to see that go over and over. I mean, I love it. And hey, stop doing that. Don't you wear that shit out. Hey. Put it down. Good. And articulation-wise, it's a G1 toy, so there's really not much else to say, which also means you don't know how to end your segment. So I'll just say he's a pretty good G1 figure. Next!
Hey, attaboy, sideswipe, transform!
So that was all she wrote for Nightbeat for about, 17 years, until this guy showed up. Wait a minute, David, we're not talking about this again. Hell no. One thing you might remember is Sideswipe's minicon is named Nightbeat. But the fact of the matter is their names were originally supposed to be switched. So Sideswipe was originally going to be Nightbeat. The colors back this up. But the good thing is he's not, because he freaking sucks. God, does he suck.
You want heat? I'll give you more than you can handle. Oh, flag! Nada!
Despite not owning it, I figured I'd take a brief moment to talk about this Nightbeat from FunPub. He's the reason I got into the character so much. The comic that came with him was a regular read for me growing up, and despite not owning the figure, I still got my hands on it. As for the figure itself, you can't expect much because it's a repaint of Energon Hotshot. That figure is not very good at all. But it's still a pretty looking repaint. A year later, we would finally see Nightbeat again in the main line with Revenge of the Fallen. This is the fella I think of when I hear Nightbeat first, because this was my toy of him growing up. In car mode, he's a car that kind of resembles G1 Wheelie, which is weird because, yeah. But hey, this fella's pretty cool. He's a Revenge of the Fallen scout, so he's already got that going with me. I'm a pretty big fan of the blue that they chose, and the yellow tribal stripes. I love that. On the back, he's got painted in taillights and a custom license plate that says his name. That's pretty cool. As for features, he rolls pretty good, and because he's a scout, that's it. Transformation's pretty simple, but you have to do it in a certain order or there will be parts that collide with itself, which is very strange for a scout figure. But hey, it's still got a lot of steps in it that are worth enjoying, especially with how the head and chest flip up. In robot mode, he is definitely an alien robot, and I like it a lot. But this is one of the things that gets me fired up to defend the Bayverse design philosophy. This is a robot from outer space. But anyway, the head is really cool. Kind of reminds me of a masquerade mask, which is funny when you take the detective angle into account. It's like he's going undercover. Also, he's a bit more scrawny than most Bayverse characters, which kind of gives him a bit of a trans tech vibe, which, I'm here for that. Feature-wise, again, he's a Revenge of the Fallen scout, so really his only feature is his ability to pose with other figures and his articulation, so I don't really know how to end this segment again. David, you can't let me go this long without making a video. Nightbeat's articulation is pretty simple. The head goes up and down, doesn't really do much else. The shoulders go out there on like a butterfly hinge thing. I don't know. You move the wheel things back and forth, in and out, or I should say these fenders. These are mostly quarter panels, actually, basically. You got outward ball joint movement all around. The shoulders on a ball joint there, elbows on a ball joint, so you can do a swivel there, and then you've got the wrist that can do just about everything you see here with a swivel and a ball joint there. He's got no waist, but he does have ball jointed hips, and he's got a thigh swivel, and he's got a pretty good knee, and then his feet. Each part is individually articulated. So for a scout class figure, he's got a lot going on, which is honestly all he needs. So he's not too bad. And here I was thinking this was going to be the last appearance of Nightbeat in almost any line. And then this guy showed up. This is Thrilling 30 Nightbeat, released in 2014 as part of the 30th anniversary of the franchise. And if you know who I am, or have been watching the channel since it started, you will know that I fucking hate this figure. This figure has a lot of problems. For starters, it's not a remold or repaint of anything that would resemble this character. It's a repaint of Bumblebee. Bumblebee! This isn't even the most infuriating part of the repaint aspect. We will get to that later. As things go, this car mode isn't terrible, but it's kind of bare bone. It goes shot for shot with the old one for better or worse, and honestly, that's the problem. Generations was supposed to be a modern reimagining for G1 characters, but I don't get that here. I get a new car mode, but they didn't use their imagination translating the color scheme. It works well enough on a Porsche, but not on a Mustang Dodge Charger hybrid. As for features, it rolls like shit on all major surfaces because this stupid chest piece is too round. God. And then you can attach these blaster halves on the side. Oh, okay, whatever. And when I say this is the most uninteresting and unfun transformation ever, I mean it. I always feel like I'm gonna freaking break it, and it's just a bunch of panels unfolding. The only thing that's derivative of that is when you slide the chest down to reveal the head. Everything else is just panels, panels, and more freaking panels. Robot mode is just phase 2 IDW Bumblebee with a new head. That does not impress me at all. The detailing is bland, the molding is bland, and the colors don't change at all from vehicle mode. Just a little bit of black here and there. So what do you do when Hasbro provides you with a very bland figure? You let third-party companies take over, of course, which means we're taking a step back into third-party territory. Jake from Transformerland sold me his Nightbeat that had the Beelzeboss kit attached to it. And honestly, it makes this figure a lot more presentable and actually pretty passable. The vehicle mode is still pretty bland, but the robot mode looks great. The head's awesome, and it gives him a new chest that actually lets him roll. Plus, he's got a new briefcase and blaster for his detective shenanigans. And you get this little bitty piece for the Titan Master released in 2015. And all this stuff makes this guy look fantastic. Now, I mentioned I had a repaint problem with this guy. Before this figure got released, an Asian market website as well as a magazine showed the Special Ops Jazz mold being used as a basis to repaint in the Nightbeat. Then, when it got released, it was this figure. Why? Why did we get this instead? And then, to add insult to injury, they still use the Jazz mold on the comic art. Damn it. And to put the depression bow on this shit show, we haven't seen Nightbeat at the deluxe price point since. However, a year later, we would get him at the Titan Master price point. So here is Titan's Return Nightbeat. And for what he is, he's not bad. He's just a remold of Terrible. I don't know why. Nightbeat isn't a tank or a jet, but here we are. The head has been applied with a face from the upgrade kit I mentioned earlier. Definitely a lot better than the constipated face that we got. As for the Titan Master integration, which is the main feature by the way, it's fine, but it's a little finicky. In jet mode, he basically is like skiing on it, I guess. He's like standing on top of the jet like he's flying in that scene from the barnyard, which is really strange. You can also shove the Titan head into this tiny anus, and now it's integrated with the tank mode. Yep, I don't like this one. I really got into Titan Masters at the time because they were good pocket money toys, but I really don't care for this one. I mean, he's not bad, it just doesn't work for me. So yeah, these are all the official Nightbeats that I own. But as far as the ones that are my favorites, I'm gonna have to go with the original and the Revenge of the Fallen one. They're definitely the most solid and fun to mess with. The Titan's Return one is okay, it's just not my thing. And the Thrilling 30 one is just a migraine to even think about. Now Hasbro, new Nightbeat. Please. It's not just me this time. With that being said, keep growing your collections. Treebot out.